Hello, you're watching Inside Politics. My name is Anastasia Lavrina, and today we have a special edition with our special guest. Joining me now is Tshering Tobgay, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Bhutan. Warm welcome to our program.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you so much. Today, November 11, very important event kicks off in Baku, Azerbaijan, COP29. Let me start with a simple question. Why is it crucial for Bhutan to be represented at this conference at COP29?
Well, first, I want to congratulate the Republic of Azerbaijan, and in particular, President Ilham Aliyev, for assuming the presidentship of COP29. It is important for Bhutan to take part at the COP. In fact, it is important for every country in the world to take part. We know that climate change is real. We know that the effects of climate change are already taking place. We know that we must fight. We must join hands to tackle climate change together, and therefore it is important for all countries to take part at the COP. I'm delighted to be here, and I want to thank the President, Prime Minister, and the government and people of Azerbaijan for their warm welcome and their hospitality. Bhutan is a small country, a landlocked country, but we are one of the few carbon negative countries in the world. 70% of our country is under forest cover. We sequester 3 times more carbon than we emit as a country. We are a biological hotspot. In spite of all that, we bear the brunt of climate change because we are a mountainous country. Our glaciers are melting. We have glacial lake outburst floods. This is destroying lives and livelihoods. So we need to take part in this conference to join all the member countries in pushing for a more ambitious agenda, a global agenda to tackle climate change.
Right. It seems that you can share your experience and the experience of your country with other participants, as well as to grab more experience by talking with the other delegates. Therefore, how will the outcomes of this conference, reached agreement, impact the country's climate strategy for the future?
COP29 is considered to be a finance COP. So, to achieve an agreement to raise climate financing is going to be very important. I think we're targeting $100 billion. I think we need to be more ambitious if we want to fight climate change. We need to ensure that we have enough climate financing so that vulnerable countries, poorer countries like Bhutan, but there are many other countries, so that we can transition more easily to green energy, and we can also take adaptive measures to against climate change. So this is going to be the singular, very big output of COP29. There are many other discussions also. As far as Bhutan is concerned, we, together with a group of select countries, will be launching an alliance called G0 tomorrow. Oh. This is an alliance of carbon negative countries. You know how many there are? Panama, Suriname, Madagascar, and Bhutan. So we 4 countries will be launching G0 tomorrow. This is a group of carbon negative countries. We want to showcase to the world that there are a few countries that are already carbon negative, carbon neutral, but that we are also small countries and we bear the brunt of climate change. However, even though we are small, we want to showcase at COP, through COP, to the world that we are carbon negative, and we want to encourage all countries, all governments, all corporations to make ambitious targets, actionable plans to achieve net zero. This G0, although it's only 4, especially because it's only 4 countries, is going to become one of the biggest outputs of COP29.
Excellent. That's one of the outcomes which can really benefit not only 4 countries for the beginning, but in the future can benefit the full global.
Well, these 4 countries are already contributing towards the global fight against climate change. These 4 countries are emitting less greenhouse gases than we sequester. Now what we need to do together is to encourage all other countries to fast-track their commitments, to make ambitious NDCs so that we can stick with 1.5 degrees that was agreed many years ago. We are failing. We need to recommit, rededicate ourselves to achieving 1.5 degrees. And we want to tell the world, look, there are countries that are making sacrifices and have achieved net zero and beyond. We are net negative. And therefore, we want to encourage many other countries, as many countries that will listen to us, to be ambitious.
Right. Let me ask you an additional question about the situation in your country in particular. Given Bhutan's vulnerability to glacial lakes, outburst, floods, how is the country preparing to manage this risk in the face of accelerating global melt?
Our glaciers are melting in the high Himalayas, and we can't do anything about it. The world must do something about it. Bhutan alone cannot do anything about it. When the glaciers melt, water becomes unsustainable. That affects the lives and livelihood of billions of people downstream. Because the glaciers across the Himalayan region will be melting. The Himalayas are the source of water for 1 billion people. And their water is going to be compromised. For Bhutan, water is important for agriculture and for hydropower. Hydropower is a source of clean, renewable energy. Both will be challenged. Both will be compromised. And therefore, we have to accelerate our efforts globally to fight climate change. For Bhutan, we see what's happening, and we have to prepare. And so we've created funds to compensate farmers for crop loss. We've created many systems along the river basins to warn us of any impending floods. We are trying to invest in other areas. For instance, tourism. We're trying to get in as many high-value tourists to visit our country, even though the policy is high-value, low volume. So we are trying to encourage as many, well, in this case, I invite you, Anastasia, to visit Bhutan. And through you, I invite Azerbaijanis, please visit my country. See what we have. You know, our culture, our spirituality, our forestry, our natural environment is different. Come and visit us. So we have to develop our economy if we are to position ourselves to adapt to the effects of climate change. You may have heard of gross national happiness. That is a development philosophy. We balance economic growth with social progress, cultural preservation, environment, and good governance. And in the area of social progress, cultural preservation, natural environment, sustainability, and good governance, we are doing very well. But now we need to build our economy in such a way that it is also sustainable. We need to grow our economy. And tourism is going to play a very important role. Another very big initiative I'm very pleased to share with you and all of Azerbaijan is the Gelifu Mindfulness City. This is being developed by His Majesty the King as a special administrative region. This is along the border with India, and it spreads across 2,500 square kilometers. There's a national park, a wildlife sanctuary, connected by biological corridors, and this is going to be a city of mindfulness, of sustainability, of harmony, where people can live in harmony with other people, but also where people can live in harmony with nature. We hope that this will become a model for urban development. So these are a few ways we are attempting to strengthen our economy, but in such a way that it is sustainable, and so that we can better prepare ourselves against the effects of climate change.
Let's talk a bit more about bilateral cooperation between our two countries. You rightly mentioned tourism. Bhutan can be a very interesting destination for the tourists from Azerbaijan to visit your beautiful country. But at the same time, when it comes to climate change, green energy transition and other very key important issues which is being raised during COP29, where do you see the potential for deepening bilateral partnership between our two countries?
Well, we can learn a lot from you. Azerbaijan has been so successful as a country in terms of development, but also your economy, particularly a sovereign wealth fund, and we have a lot to learn from you. Another area of cooperation is you can invest in green energy in Bhutan. Azerbaijan can invest in green energy, whether it's solar or especially hydropower, and use the clean green energy from hydropower to produce green fuels, whether it's hydrogen, green hydrogen, or green ammonia, or use the clean green energy to run green data centers or provide computing power for artificial intelligence. So these are a few areas where we can cooperate. But immediately, I think more Bhutanese must start visiting Azerbaijan, and many, many, many more of you Azerbaijanis must visit Bhutan.
Wonderful. Now, after the discussion, COP29, the world community will have a year before COP30, which will take place in Brazil, to consider all those achievements which will be taken and achieved within the next almost 10 days. Therefore, what actions are most urgent, in your understanding, for the international community to take over the next year to mitigate the world's impacts of climate change?
NDCs are very important. Every country must be ambitious in their commitments so that we can really, realistically have a chance of sticking to 1.5 degrees Celsius. If we breach 1.5 degrees Celsius, the world, particularly the poor, vulnerable countries, are going to face the impact of climate change immediately. To help brace those impacts, but also to help reduce emissions, we need climate financing. So a whole area to mobilize financing, but also in our case, in Bhutan's case, and for the members of G0, to ensure fair value for the carbon that we sequester. We need to have proper carbon exchange mechanisms also established. So in the next year, as a member, I look forward to working with Azerbaijan to take the world forward to a better place so that we can leave our children in a better place, so that our children will have a better hand at mitigating the effects of climate change. We cannot continue this way. We must give our children a fair shot at improving their welfare.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for such a good interview, for sharing your experience and your knowledge about such a crucial issues, which is being to be addressed by all countries during COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Anastasia.
Thank you
very much.
Well, you watched Inside Politics. Stay with us and see you in the next edition.